Surprise, surprise. We didn't think we'd be back so soon with episode 28 of season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast, but here we are. Some big news breaking over the weekend for the club that head coach Dave Bell is back for another 2 seasons behind the bench here in the Friendly City. We will chat with Dave Bell coming up later on in this episode, which has now been extended a little bit. David Foote, Brock Ormond here. And originally we were going to have just 3 interviews for you with our exit interview series continuing, but you'll get 4 this week with the coach as well. Plus we will check in on the Calder Cup Finals, which are underway. And the series shifting out to California after a split of the first 2 games in Hershey. All of that to come this week, including conversations with Kyle Betts, Tyler Boucher, and Mads Sogaard, and again the coach as well. We don't need to get into the analysis of the signing too much right now, Brock, but great news for the club, great news for Dave Bell and his family to have not only that dealt with at this point in the summer, but a little bit of stability with a 2-year deal. Yeah,
a 200-pound weight lifted off the shoulders for sure, and for David Bell and his family, nice to have a little bit of that stability. 2 years until 2025-26. For now, that's outstanding news, and now he gets to fully put his imprint on this Belleville Sens team after a pretty successful first full season behind the bench of the Sens, and now he looks to try and add on and keep expanding the horizons of this team and getting them to a Calder Cup championship.
Yeah, and again, did a really good job in getting this team into the playoffs and through the quote-unquote first round, and putting up a good fight against the Cleveland Monsters. So again, we'll chat with head coach Dave Bell in a little bit. We'll chat about head coach Dave Bell in a little bit as well as we work through episode 28, season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast. Again, we always tell you, subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. We weren't planning on doing a show this week, but as the offseason goes, things tend to pop up here and there, and we weren't going to miss a chance to share the news about the coach and chat with him. So here we are, and we will have a show next week as planned, and you get a week with an extra bonus show that maybe we weren't expecting. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the program, and let us know what you think of the show, maybe who you'd like to hear from through the course of the summer as we continue on. Let's get to these exit interviews as our series continues. Again, Kyle Betts will be our first player to discuss here on this episode, and a guy who, it's really quite the story for the young man from Flesherton, Ontario. Played with the Grey Bruce Highlanders in his minor hockey, goes the junior A route out to BC with the Powell River Kings, and then 4 years at Cornell University before turning pro with the Utah Grizzlies, and then plays most of the season last year for Belleville, 40 games on a PTO. Starts the season again this year in Utah, comes to Belleville again, plays basically the whole season on a PTO, but does end up getting himself a standard player contract near the end of the year. And this is one of the guys that, even though he only played in 1 playoff game, just a glue guy and one of those players who is just such a shining example of what it takes to be a professional and to kind of make your own path when you get those opportunities.
Yeah, he's a worker, and that's the key thing, and it fits with the mold of David Bell's team is hard work and coming to the rink every day, putting your work boots on, your hard hat on, and get to work, and that's exactly what Kyle Betts embodied the whole season. 9 points on the year, so 56 games, which is a boost from his 3-40 the year before. But the thing is, like he said, at the pro level, has to work for his opportunities, and it seemed to pay off quite a bit for him in spades for the Belleville Senders. And he's one of those guys that plays in the fourth line, gets in and out of the lineup, but when he does get in, he contributes. And the key thing is, not everybody can be a superstar 20-30 goal scorer. Not everybody can put up 40 points from the blue line, so you got to be able to figure out how to play and how to contribute in different ways, and Betts certainly did that this season.
He played a lot on a line with Boku Amama. He played a little bit with Tyler Boucher, those 3 together as well, and Oscar Pettersson, too, filled in on that I don't like calling it the fourth line, but on that fourth line for Belleville. And it was the fourth line, but they put in way more minutes than that. As you know, Dave Bell really did roll through things, and whenever you needed just a little bit of a burst of energy, some speed, Kyle Betts was usually the guy that would get the tap and go out and try to make something happen.
Yeah, that's a testament to coach's belief and faith in him that he can go out and play a simple game. Don't put yourself in too big of a bind and get stuck in your defensive zone for 30, 40, 50 seconds. Just go out there and make a simple play, and sometimes that's all it takes just to be able to win, and he certainly did that. And again, one of those guys, college educated, played in Powell River. We know under a guy like Kent Lewis that coached under him in Powell River, learned a lot about work ethic as well, and of course David Bell very similar in that. So and then Cornell University, of course, not a bad spot to land yourself for Division I hockey and NCAA, and the Big Red so good at developing players for whatever level you play at, and for Kyle Betts, it seemed like it all culminated in a pretty decent season for him here in Belleville, and we'll see maybe if he can continue to climb the ladder next year.
We said it's going to be a long episode, so we won't chatter on too much more about Kyle Betts. Let's just hear from him instead. The forward from Flesherton, Ontario, our first guest on episode 28 of Season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast. Let's talk about the year for you. Again, another season that kind of started like last year. You're here on a PTO for quite a long time. You do eventually sign your deal partway through the season, which is outstanding. But how would you kind of put this season into words, and maybe how did it compare to last year for you?
Yeah, I guess a little bit of deja vu. Getting that call early when I was in Utah to come back. And, it's kind of an easier transition, I guess. Having already been here once, familiar with some of the guys, familiar with some staff. So I think I came with a little more confidence and I guess knowledge, you can play at this level, unlike last year when it was all brand new. Sure. So I think that definitely helped in playing a role and eventually signing a deal and kind of committing to being here for the rest of the season, which was definitely a relief and I guess a nice feather in the cap, I guess. Yeah, and you put up a career high in AHL points, with 5 goals, 4 assists. Obviously, I would imagine the increased playing time kind of helps with the numbers and the confidence. Did you kind of feel that way this year? Yeah, definitely. Last year didn't produce much at all. So I guess, I want to take a step forward that way offensively. And like you said, having that confidence from last year that you can play at this level, maybe make a play that you wouldn't have last year, or the additional playing time, I got a great opportunity with penalty kill and whatnot. Just kind of gets you more involved in the game and maybe helps you capitalize when you get a chance. You played a lot with Boko this year on the checking lines. What was it like to play with him? I know Hallie's been telling us how much fun it's been to dump the puck in and watch Boko chase guys down. How did you find playing with him? And you guys seem to have a bit of chemistry as well through the season. Yeah, he's an easy guy to play with. Yeah. You're going to get every night. He's going to bring his best effort. He's going to play hard, and a guy you like playing with on your line because you have that kind of guarantee of what you're going to get. And also, the presence he brings out there, it's easy to play with, and you have a guy like that in your line because, he is feared in the league. It's kind of well known, and when you have him beside you in your left wing, you kind of feel like you're invincible as well. Yeah, he's a protector, to say the least. And I know there's a lot of college guys on the team this year as well, and we've been hearing from some of the guys we've talked to just about how tight this group was, and I think you hear that every year around every team, but it seems almost a little bit different here. Like it's more true just at how tight this group was throughout the season. Yeah, it really was a special group. The management did a great job bringing good character, and I think that's just kind of the late season push and kind of getting through Toronto with some adversity. I think like a lot of that character kind of contributed to maybe the success we had in those aspects. Yeah, we're chatting with forward Kyle Betts. You played in the one playoff game with Zach Ostapchuk out injured, but you were around, again, like all the other guys who didn't play. You were with the team daily on the playoff run. What was it like to have that kind of Calder Cup playoff experience, and maybe how was it different from your Kelly Cup playoff experience with Utah in previous years? Yeah, I think with the experience we gained this season, as much as I wasn't really playing the playoffs, just being around it and kind of seeing, the flow of, a postseason run, I hope that the group that is back next year, if I'm with it or not, we can kind of draw on that experience and push even deeper. As far as the differences with the Kelly Cup, obviously I was playing a bigger role down there, and
Sure.
I guess kind of being relied on as a guy that's going to help push through each series. And this year is more of being a supporting cast and making sure I'm being positive and supporting the guys that are playing, letting them know they're doing a great job, and being more of, I guess, a team player.
Yeah. What about the Bay of Quinte area, Belleville? Now your second, basically full season here. What's it been like, kind of being part of this community?
Yeah, honestly, it's starting to feel like home. I was talking to my parents the other day, like I'm excited to get back, but it's been 2 seasons now in the Bay, and it's cool being an Ontario kid. I had some familiar with Belleville, had some hockey tournaments here growing up, but living here, you get a whole new appreciation for it and how beautiful the area is, and it's nice playing a little bit deeper, I guess, into the postseason and seeing some of that better weather come around and seeing some of the stuff out in the county. So it's been really nice, and yeah, I would definitely love to be back if I could for a third season.
Yeah, and it's funny, when Toronto went out, we knocked Toronto out, and then when the Leafs went out, I was trying to get everybody on board that we're Ontario's team. So, like, whether it's, Sens or not, it's kind of cool to be from Ontario and playing professionally in the province here.
Yeah, and it's surprising that we don't have many Ontario guys playing, playing here. But, I grew up in the small hometown, home of Chris Neal, so the Sens were always, it was kind of our team in that town. A lot of Toronto fans around us, but just with Chris Neal coming through there, it was kind of our small little Sens community.
Yeah, and you're probably a little north enough of the city that some of the Leaf fans kind of taper off, I would imagine, just a little bit perhaps. But
they're still pretty loyal up there. But.
Yeah, as we see here as well. Yeah. But like was said last year, I think we're converting fans one jersey at a time.
Yeah.
What else is on tap for you for the summer, aside from preparing for next year and hopefully locking down a deal somewhere?
Yeah, I'll go back to school, back to Cornell to train. We have a few pro guys that do that, and a lot of the current players stay and get to work with their strength coach, and they're on ice, get to use the facilities. So it's been a great step the last couple of years, and I plan to do that again. Other than that, nothing too crazy planned for the summer.
That's kind of a cool, perk of being an alumnus of such a big program when it comes to hockey, being able to go back and take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's awesome, just especially for me being from a small town. We don't really have ice or a big group of pro guys to train with. So having the ability to go there and, have a competitive group to train with and like I said, use the amazing facilities that you're able to use at school, it's a perfect fit. Yeah,
it sounds like it. Well, all the best with your preparations for next year. Congrats on another solid season here. It was amazing watching you play, and have a great summer, man.
All right, thanks, buddy.
There's Kyle Betts coming off a career year, his second basically full season in the American Hockey League, 56 games, 5 goals, 4 assists, and did get into the one playoff game as well. Again, Brock, one of those players with a question mark beside their contract for the upcoming season, but a guy that we know Dave Bell was a fan of, and now that we know for sure that the coach is back, maybe that's somebody that he'll put a little bug in the ear of upper management if that's someone he wants to have back again.
Yeah, that's a guy that is pretty versatile and can play anywhere in the lineup. And having the college guys there with him, like a Stephen Halliday, is so imperative for sure, and gives him a chance to fit in the room. And like he said in the interview, this season was a little bit easier for him in transitioning back from the ECHL here to Belleville because he already knew a lot of the guys, and he knew the coaching staff, at least David Bell for sure. So having that type of experience and knowing what the organization wants from you and knowing what you have to do to accomplish your goals is something that is so invaluable, and it seemed like it really paid off in spades for Betts in his game.
And talk about difficulties and challenges in your career. Our next guest in segment 2 has had a pile of those, and his career is still very, very young. Tyler Boucher will be our next guest. But before we get to him, we'll leave you with one of Kyle Betts' goals from this season, a penalty shot beauty at home against the Toronto Marlies. The Belleville Sens podcast continues after this short break. Kyle Betts is going to get the penalty shot, his first in the AHL. Left-handed shot. The Flesherton native comes into the right circle. Betts shoots and scores!
What a shot!
What a finish from Kyle Betts for his first of the season. And it's 2-0 Belleville thanks to a penalty shot by Kyle Betts.
We went all in on that. Stay ahead of the game. Plan now for the next season of Belleville Senators hockey. 2024-25 renewals and new seat packages are on sale now. Visit BellevilleSens.com to receive information on pricing and learn about the exclusive benefits season seat members receive. Because you want to be in on all Sens hockey action. Plan to get in the game. More on season seat memberships at BellevilleSens.com. Go Sens Go!
Episode 28 of Season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast continues. David Foote and Brock Ormond here. Thanks to Kyle Betts, our last guest for his time. We're working through the exit interviews that we put together a few weeks back with most of the players, and then coming up later in the show, we will get the first availability with newly re-signed, I should say, Belleville Sens head coach Dave Bell will be our guest in just a little bit. On this segment, Tyler Boucher will be the subject of focus. Obviously, a highly touted prospect for the Ottawa Senators organization, and a guy who has not been able to play as much as he would have liked in recent years. 10th overall pick in 2021 by the Sens. Gets hurt at the World Juniors a little while back. Basically since 2021-22, he's barely played in like 100 games over those 3 seasons, and 21 games this year, which was the same amount that he played for the Ottawa 67s in 2022-23, but a guy who just can't seem to get away from the injury bug.
No, and that's an absolute, hurt. It hurts. It's a real tough thing to get through when your injuries start to pile up in the pro ranks. 5 points in 21 games from this season, 10th overall pick, so he's got a lot of expectations on him. And the Ottawa Senators fans, like you see them all over, just hoping that he can somehow get himself into action and play more, and it's been tough for him, and it was already an interesting move to take him in the draft by the Ottawa Sens, and then he comes into Belleville and did show flashes of good play with Belleville this season. He was not out of place whatsoever, but unfortunately, again, those injuries can really start to nag at you, and for Tyler Boucher, he was out pretty much 3/4 of the season, which is hard to stomach for a guy like him who needs to play and needs to get shown to have success.
And a guy who obviously has that talent, that pedigree. In his 2 seasons in Ottawa with the 67s, 14 points in 24 games in 21-22, 17 points in 21 games in 22-23, and then at the 22-23 World Juniors when he got hurt, he had 4 points in 6 games, including 3 goals before that injury. So this is a guy that obviously, like we say, has the pedigree, can get the job done. It's just a matter of can he stay healthy, and can he get to that level that Ottawa brass is hoping he can.
Yeah, it's he definitely hasn't reached his ceiling, hasn't really reached the halfway point up to the ceiling because, again, those injuries piling up. But, yeah, he does have shown flashes of being able to score, and that's the key thing, and that's why he was drafted as high as he was because of his knack for finding the net. But, you can't really find the net if you don't have the skates on and you're sitting in the stands for, game after game after game. So, for Tyler Boucher, conditioning, I imagine, will be the thing to try and rehab himself, get back to full strength, and then hopefully stay out of those pitfalls of injuries, because that's what's going to hurt his overall development in the long run, obviously.
Yeah, and a guy who is focused on getting healthy and getting back in the lineup and being ready to go. It's not an overly long interview because, again, he didn't play a lot this season. But here's Tyler Boucher on the Belleville Sens podcast chatting a little bit about this year and how excited he is to get back to camp in September. Obviously, didn't go the way you would have liked to with the injury, but you did get into 21 games here in the AHL. How did you feel about, first making the transition here, rehabbing from one injury, getting healthy, and at least getting in there for a nice spell of games for a bit?
Yeah, obviously it was my first year pro, and it was great. I would have liked to play more than 21 games. The injuries have been, something that's been going on, and it's been tough, but I enjoyed my first year pro. I know it was only 21 games. I think I learned a lot this year and met a lot of great people, so it was good.
And I'm sure even if you're not playing as much as you would like to, whether that's by injury or just by way of being a young player in the league. I'm sure there's a lot to learn still. Were there some other lessons that you were able to maybe pick up or some things that you were able to absorb in your time this season?
For sure. I mean, I think every year you're always learning. You never stop learning. I think for me, it's first year pro, the schedule, the travel, you got to learn how to take care of your body and how important that is to play a full season and to stay healthy and just to perform at the level you want. So I'd say that was probably the biggest thing I learned, just what I need to do to take care of myself and how I can prepare going into next year.
How did things maybe meet your expectations from those that you had coming in from the OHL and from Ottawa last year?
In terms of
just generally, I guess, the pro life and the adjustments that need to be made to play at this level.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously guys are older, stronger, played pro hockey for a long time. So, I mean, every night's going to be you're going up against good players. So, I think it met my expectations. I didn't feel out of place really at all. I mean, obviously it's a little bit faster, but that's just something you got to adjust. And I had a long time off with the surgery last year. So, I think for me the first 10 games was about getting my feet wet and kind of getting my jam back a little bit. And obviously it got cut short, but I'll be ready for next year.
Yeah. How about living in Belleville in the Bay of Quinte? What was it like, being part of this city, this community for the last 8-9 months or so?
Yeah, it was great. Obviously, when I was out, I had a lot of time to meet with a lot of fans, so I'm very passionate, and we appreciate that. Loved with Chucky and Clev all year, and two great guys, so we had a lot of fun, and we really enjoyed it.
What does your summer look like? Obviously, training and getting prepared for camp, etc. What else might you have going on this summer?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to go home for a little bit, spend some time with some family, and then for me it's back to work pretty soon. I got a lot of things I need to take care of, a lot of goals I want to accomplish for next year, so it'll be about getting ready for camp and making sure I can start at time and be ready and be where I want.
Where do you skate in the summertime? Do anyone you skate with in particular usually?
New Jersey. I mean, the groups kind of differ. It kind of depends on who's there. A lot of pro guys and some college guys and some longtime buddies. So it's always a good skate.
Yeah, for sure. Any travel plans or anything like that for the summer? Or are you like we've heard from some other guys? A lot of guys kind of just like to hang out at home because you're not there for so long during the year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't see my family very often. Yeah. So it'd be great to see them and my dog and just kind of spend time with them. We go to the Jersey Shore in the summer, and that's kind of like a weekend thing we do. We just go hang out at the beach, as a family. And for me, that's really important to see my family.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, too few games for you this year. Hopefully we see more next year, but still, it was great to see you make your debut, and all the best through the summer, man.
Yep, thank you. Have a great summer.
Perfect. There's Tyler Boucher on the Belleville Sens podcast, and we'll have to see what September brings for the young man and see how much growth he can make in this offseason now that he's getting back to 100%.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's got the opportunity to do that too because he is under contract for next season. So that's the nice part about him is he's able to get himself going again and know that he's got that stability and he knows he's ready to go and you could tell he's determined to make it right and I mean you can't control what you can't control, and that's the tough part about getting bit by the injury bug, and we hope to see him get back to full strength next year, and that's he'll work at that for sure, because stamina and conditioning is so important over a 72-game AHL season, and for Tyler Boucher's sake. We wish him all the best moving forward because it's not easy to come back from that, and he's already got a lot of expectations, practically the weight of the world on his shoulders with this organization. So we'll see how he does.
Really good article with Tyler Boucher from Ian Mendez in The Athletic recently, where he opened up a little bit about those injury struggles. So if you're looking to do a little bit more reading on Tyler Boucher and his situation, I would point you towards that Ian Mendez article in The Athletic for that. When we come back, we'll switch the focus to goaltending. Mads Sogaard will be our guest. Before we go, we'll leave you with Tyler Boucher's first AHL goal, one of just two he scored this season, but a big one nonetheless. for the 10th overall pick for the Ottawa Senators back in 2021. Back with more of the Belleville Sens podcast in just a moment. Here is Tyler Boucher shooting, scores! Tyler Boucher answers back with his first AHL goal, and we are all square at one inside the 2-minute mark.
Lassie Thompson grabbed that puck. What a shot. The shift away.
Don't miss 1 second of Belleville Senators action this season. The Belleville Sens Entertainment Network is the only place to hear live coverage of the Belleville Senators for all 72 games plus playoffs. Pre-game coverage begins 15 minutes before each game with David Foote, and the network is also home to the Belleville Sens podcast, the Belleville Senators Entertainment Network, presented by Deerhaven Farm and Garden. Tune in on the Belleville Sens app or BellevilleSens.com.
It's episode 28 of Season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast. Still to come on the program this week. Freshly re-signed head coach Dave Bell will be with us to chat about getting that deal done. Now, we haven't spoken to the coach since game number 5 in Cleveland. So it's been a little while as we catch up with him. And we'll also get you up to date on the Calder Cup Finals, which are underway. But before that, we'll hear from the Great Dane, Mads Sogaard, our subject for this third segment of the program. And focus of that, Brock, but also the focus of a lot of fans around the Belleville Senators, around the Ottawa Senators. Goaltending is such an important piece of things if you want to have a successful team, and certainly that was the case for Belleville this year and for Mads Sogaard. What did you make of the Great Danes campaign this year?
Yeah, Sogaard had a nice bounce back. Last season, 22 games, 6 wins, 10 losses, 2 overtime defeats, and his save percentage was under 900. Goals against average was over 340. But this season, he was back to the way he was with the Sens 2 years ago in 21-22, at 245 goals against and a 916 save percentage to go along with 18 wins, 9 losses, 3 overtime defeats, and his first 2 shutouts in the AHL. So it felt like there was a lot more calm in his game. I mean, he did deal with the usual bumps and bruises of a professional goaltender, but it felt like he got more of a rhythm here in Belleville, and the cycle with him, Kevin Mandolese, and Levi Merrilainen really worked out well, I think, to not only give him enough games to feel like he was in a groove, but also give him a chance to rest and get his opportunity to relax and kind of see things from a different angle while giving the other 2 guys their opportunities as well. So for Mads Sogaard, a great season all the way around, really, and in the playoffs especially, he rose to the occasion and unfortunately wasn't in the net when the Sens were eliminated, but Levi Merrilainen was an admirable fill-in and did a fine job. And for Sogaard, you can sense the confidence in his game too. He was a lot more like he was more mobile. He was moving around really well, and that goes back to the work of Justin Peters and Tyson Teachman that really did an outstanding job of really tutoring him and helping him in the areas where he needed maybe a bit of work. And of course, when you're 6'6" or 6'7", right around that area, it's pretty easy to be a puck blocker. But it's just about technique and trying to figure out how best to move around in the crease and make saves. And Teachman and Peters, of course, both former Ontario Hockey League goaltenders, so they know the tricks of the trade there. And it seemed like it, again, paid off for Sogaard big time in his AHL season this year.
Well, and you talk about the bounce back he had from last year. I think part of that does kind of go with the fact that he played substantially less games in the NHL this year. He only played 6 as opposed to 19 in 2022-23. So he's got that steadiness. He's as much as we all know he would like to be in the NHL. I feel like there's something to be said for just having that stability at the AHL level and kind of knowing that you're the go-to guy for that team. And I think that helped his confidence. And I think he did a lot of work as well. He talked to us at the beginning of the season about the work he did in the offseason on the mental side of the game and just trying to stay confident and find ways to deal with the stress and pressure that comes with being a number one goaltender in professional hockey.
Yeah, that's right, and it is about a mental. It is the mental game, really. That's you got to have that toughness between the ears and being able to block out. If you get a goal scored on you, just throw it aside, move on to the next one, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard enough for NHL goalies to do that, and every level you're at, you're going to have some pitfalls, but Sogaard, his mental game was very strong this year, and you could tell. He wasn't letting in too many goals from distance, which was the key. There's only maybe one or two that you would say, okay, that's a shot that maybe he could have had, but he wasn't letting in too many bad goals, which is another thing that really seems to help the mental confidence.
Mads Sogaard took over a number of franchise categories this year as well, franchise record categories, games played, wins, saves, you name it. He's basically at the top of the list of pretty well all of the goaltending categories for the Belleville Senators now. So let's hear from the Great Dane, the 23-year-old from Aalborg, Denmark. Mads Sogaard, our next guest on episode 28 of Season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast. Thanks for taking a few minutes for us before you head off. I know you got a big travel day ahead of you today.
Yeah, no worries.
How was the season for you? Again, another one split between Belleville and Ottawa, a little bit more time in the AHL this season. How did you feel about things overall this year?
I thought it was a pretty good year. I thought we had, I just thought it was pretty solid all around for us as a group here. Played some very meaningful hockey, which has been something that we really wanted to, and to get into the playoffs and get that kind of experience, I guess, was something that the group needed, I thought, and we got to eliminate Toronto, which was I think it was a big memory for all of us.
Always fun.
Yeah, just winning a series and just having that battle and come out on top, I thought was good. And obviously it's tough losing to Cleveland, but you look at those games, it's all 1-goal games, a couple overtimes, and we're right there. It's just we just didn't have the luck on our side, which is I don't even want to say that, but
yeah,
just a tough outing, and not the way we wanted, obviously, but I think with everything taken in perspective, I thought we had a good year. It was a great group to be a part of, and just a real treat to come to the rink every day.
And for you, a third full season in Belleville, if you don't count coming in 2020 in the bubble there.
Yeah.
And as much as it was a big season for personal development, as we kind of talked about before the interview, the club, the organization was able, I think, to make some pretty big steps because of, like you say, getting into the playoffs, winning that series against a rival. And we really did kind of see the city hop on board near the end of the year there.
100%. I think I've said it a couple times, in interviews after games and all that, but the crowds and the atmosphere and just the buzz around the city and this little, not even just playoff, but just a little push to get into playoffs has been the best I've seen here in my time in Belleville. It was special. It was special going out there every night and just feeling the energy behind us. I thought this. It was something we needed, and to have the city support us like they did was awesome, and something that as players we're super thankful for. I think you get to this point, you've played a lot of hockey. Your body is pretty beaten down at this time of year, but to come out and have the crowd support we had, that just makes you forget all about it and just enjoy it and do everything you can to deliver and make them go home happy.
Yeah, we'll take a couple more minutes here with Sens goaltender Mads Sogaard. Great season for yourself as well. Among the best numbers in the American Hockey League. You get a couple of shutouts, which maybe eluded you for a couple of seasons. How did you feel about your year overall?
Yeah, I thought it was a good year. I thought I felt that I'd been good before, but I felt like I needed to take a step and kind of put myself in the top category. and I thought I put it together a good season. I mean, I think we got to really recognize the support I had in front of me, obviously. Just the way that guys battled and helped me out, and just everything that the players in front of me did. That's the whole reason for me being able to to put together a good season. So a lot of help from teammates, and even the other goalies too on the team here. Just coming to the rink and pushing each other every single day. It's just making us all better, I thought. And like I said, I wanted to take another step forward and put a little exclamation mark on my play here, and make sure that I was putting my best foot forward and helping the team to get into the playoffs. And I think it was important to do that. And it was exciting. It was exciting to play here this year, and have like I said, the support we had there at the end was what I'm going to remember the season the most for. So we took a big step, but there's even more room for improvement. So I guarantee you that everybody's going to go home and be really hungry to come back stronger next year.
Yeah, and the training is an obvious part of the offseason. What else do you have coming up this summer, maybe outside of hockey, to try to get your mind off things and decompress a bit?
Yeah, so me and my girlfriend are going to go to Paris in July. Nice. Get away from the everyday and all that. Just have a little break and enjoy each other and get some good food probably. I think that's about it. Other than that, just go home, see my family, see my friends, and enjoy the time. I mean, we're here for 8 months, 9 months, whatever it is, and it's a long time. So for us to have the time in the summer to go home and see family and friends is really a time you want to take in and enjoy. So I'm excited to see everybody, and you never want to go home early, but when it's all said and done and we're officially not in it anymore, I'm excited to go home and see my family and friends.
Yeah, it's a long season for sure, and we won't keep you up any longer. Again, we know you got your flight to catch home. So, thanks for everything this season, Sogs. I appreciate all the hard work and the stellar play, and enjoy the summer, man.
Thank you.
It should be a good couple months here.
100%.
All right.
Thank you.
So there's Mads Sogaard again. A huge year for him. Such a big piece of things here in Belleville. We believe still a big piece of the plans of the future in Ottawa. He's a restricted free agent, and we've seen Angus Crookshank and Cole Reinhardt both signed, so that could mean that Steve Staios and Ryan Bonus and company are working their way through those restricted players and trying to get them locked up. So maybe we'll have some news on Sogi by the next time we have an episode of the Belleville Sens podcast, but you have to imagine they're going to be working pretty hard to get him locked up.
Yeah, I would imagine so, and especially given that he's touted as the starter for Belleville and a potential goalie of the future for Ottawa. So, and he's gotten time in Ottawa too. He served himself pretty well up there, but now again he wants to take that next step. And I would imagine, like you said, that someone like Ryan Bonus, Steve Staios, they know what kind of game he brings, and they really want to see if they can't fill that crease with him, because he's got big skates and he'll fill them pretty well. Yeah,
and the stellar season that he had started from Game 1 out in Hershey. The Bears defending Calder Cup champions raised their banner. Mads Sogaard goes in and helps the Belleville Sens to a season-opening shutout, really setting things up the rest of the way for Belleville. So that's the clip we'll leave you with on this segment. And when we come back, we will hear from the coach, Dave Bell, re-signed to a 2-year contract extension. He'll be our next guest on this week's Belleville Sens podcast. So stay with us on the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network. Shot, stopped by Sogaard, rebound in the slot, cleared away, 5 seconds left, it's in the corner, and it's tied up, and the horn will sound. The Belleville Senators pick up an opening night victory. Mads Sogaard has his first career AHL shutout, a 30-save performance, and the Senators spoil the party on banner-raising night in Hershey.
Stay ahead of the game. Plan now for the next season of Belleville Senators hockey. 2024-25 renewals and new seat packages are on sale now. Visit BellevilleSens.com to receive information on pricing and learn about the exclusive benefits season seat members receive. Because you want to be in on all Sens hockey action. Plan to get in the game. More on season seat memberships at BellevilleSens.com. Go Sens, go!
Second last segment, extended episode number 28 of Season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast. David Foote, Brock Ormond here. Thanks for sticking with us on this week's show, especially since we weren't even planning to be here this week. So we appreciate you being here with us and hanging out as well. Thanks again to Kyle Betts, Tyler Boucher, Mads Sogaard for their time a few weeks back at the team's exit interview day, sitting down to talk about the seasons. And one person we didn't really get to sit down and talk about the year with was head coach Dave Bell. His contract was due to expire at the end of this month. We hadn't talked to him since the end of the series in Cleveland post-game right after Belleville was eliminated from the Calder Cup playoffs, but he'll be our guest in this segment, and it'll be nice to check in with him, see how the summer's going, and what this process has been like to get him re-signed, and what a difference that's going to make for him now moving into the next few months of the summer.
Yeah, like we said, it's a 100-pound weight off the shoulders of Dave Bell, and knowing that he's going to be behind the bench of the Belleville Senators next year, it's definitely a relief, and it's also a positive too, because his family's here, his kids are in school, and he knows the area pretty well now. He's been here, and also not just as a head coach, but as an assistant coach under Troy Mann for years. So he knows this area pretty well now, and that's it can only be a positive when you got a guy that is mingling with the community and absorbing himself and his family into this Bay of Quinte area, because it is a nice area to raise a family in, and it's a nice area to be a good hockey coach in, and definitely once he put his imprint on this team this season, you can tell that they really bought in, and it all comes back to him getting the opportunity to build his own system, which he didn't really get to do in the couple months he was at it in 2022-23 when he moved up to the head coach position. So really excited to see what he can do this year, and see if he can't try and turn this Belleville Senators team into an even greater contender.
He helped the Sens to a 38-28 3-3 record last season in his first full season as a head coach, guiding Belleville again to their first ever playoff series victory. And Dave Bell is our next guest on the Belleville Sens podcast after re-signing a 2-year contract extension with the club. How's it going, Coach? Good to see you.
It's going well, thank you.
Congratulations, first of all, on the extension. Obviously, you're pleased to have that done and dusted at this time of the summer.
No, it's big. It's big for me. It's big for my family. So just to give us some some direction for the next couple of years, and know the kids are going to be here and in the same school. And it's actually big for my son, who's able to graduate from the school he's been at for the past 5 years and a grade 8 graduation. So it lines up nicely for him to graduate with his peers. So that's a big thing for me.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of talk about the 2-year term. Obviously, you've been embedded in this community now for the past 5-6 seasons or so. You talk about your kids obviously in school here as well. How important was it to maybe get that little bit of extra stability, and what is it about this team, this community that makes you want to stick around?
Well, it's a great community. It's the right size for me. I love it. I think it's a small town feel, which is where I was raised, and you know what, when you get out in the community and you get involved in it, whether it's with the kids or my wife or myself, just being part of it, and it's a really tight-knit community where everybody helps each other out, and that's what we like about it. You can go out there and you can make an impact if you're out doing a breakfast club or doing something like the Rotary group with the clowns with the Rotary stuff. So to see an impact that you can make in a smaller community, it's pretty nice to watch and see.
We're chatting with the Belleville Sens head coach Dave Bell. Obviously, the extension a testament as well to the work that you and your staff and your team were able to do this season, getting this club through a playoff round and giving the Cleveland Monsters just about all they could handle.
Yeah, no, it was good. The group was good. The staff was outstanding. I mean, it was a team effort. On any given night, it was the trainers, or it was an equipment manager, or even bus drivers going through snowstorms. So, complete team effort. Super proud of the group and the staff for their accomplishments this year.
We haven't talked much about the season since after that loss in Cleveland back in early May. How have you kind of reflected on things and how this 23-24 campaign went for you and your group?
Well, I've done a lot of reflecting, obviously, from a personal standpoint and growth and things that I did as a coach, and things that I got better at or things I need to improve on. But as a group, reflecting on the success of the group, and when I say success, I mean getting in the playoffs, winning a round, and then pushing Cleveland, I thought in a pretty competitive series. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, watching and looking back at guys getting their first NHL games or going up for extended stints and getting their first NHL goals or wins, that's rewarding for me as a coach. That's, kind of makes me tick, and that's our job down here to progress guys to the point where they can go up there and be impactful. Not just, I think that group up there is at a point where they need guys to come in and contribute, not just be bench fillers and that they're on the upswing. So when we can get guys to go up there and contribute, like I think guys did this year, that shows that we're having success down here.
Yeah, absolutely. Chatting with Sens head coach Dave Bell. A couple of those guys that have had a look up top, re-signing Angus Crookshank back again, and Cole Reinhardt as well. The first two signings we see that could impact Belleville this season. Nice to see those guys get a pen to paper, I'd imagine.
Absolutely, they're both good people. So that's the first thing. I think Steve and Ryan, they and Dave, they make sure they're good people that are coming back, and those are two great people that Angus had another good year, a couple setbacks with injuries, and same with Cole. They both, they could never get in a real long groove with injuries, but I mean, Angus went up and had some success up there, and I think it's a testament to his work ethic away from the puck. We've always known he could score, and he's hungry around the net, and he's good on the power play, but he needed to, and it was told that he needed to work on his defensive game and his 200-foot game, and I think he did, and then was rewarded with a pretty decent stint up there twice, I think. So good for him, and I'm sure he's going to be pushing for a roster spot come September.
Yeah. What's the day-to-day look like for you this time of year? How do you keep busy when you have a little bit of time?
Well, the kids. Keep up with the kids. Do as much as I can with them, because in the winter I'm not around. Not around at all. Hardly see them. So as much as I can with them. But you know what? It's starting to be free agency time, and looking and talking with Ryan and Steve and see who's coming back and putting things together. Obviously putting a staff together here again. So probably, it's been a month now of downtime and letting the brain and the body recharge. So it's probably, you start to creep back in. Development camp will be in a week up in Ottawa after the draft. So, turn the hockey brain back on and just start chipping away at things you want to work on next year and systems you want to do and maybe some video you want to implement next year.
And as is always the case in the American Hockey League, the roster work, it seems like there is a fair amount to do coming up this season, obviously with a few guys already signing elsewhere, and Lassie and Larson and Yuri Smakel. But how do you kind of go about putting together another team that can be as competitive and more competitive than this year's group?
Well, that's, I'm kind of just a cheerleader in that. That's obviously Steve, Sean McCauley, Ryan Bonus. Those guys have done all their work with the pro scouts. So, my philosophy is whoever they push through that door, I'm going to coach the heck out of them and get as much out of them as I can. So, they'll ask me for my input, and maybe get some intel if I can, whether it's knowing a coach that coached them or a player that played with them that I know. But other than that, those guys did an unbelievable job last year putting a group together, and I expect they'll do the same this year.
A couple more minutes here with Belleville Sens head coach Dave Bell. And as much as there are holes to fill, there is also a pretty good returning group of prospects and familiar names for fans as well that will surely see this team be competitive again.
I think so. I think those guys will all take jumps, and hopefully Tyler Boucher has a good summer of getting healthy and conditioning, and Robbie Urvente's in the same boat. So we saw a little glimpse of what Stephen Halliday can do and got a taste of it. So now he'll have a summer under his belt of knowing what he needs to do. And again, the guys that are going into their third year, some guys that, you expect them to make that jump and push to make a hard decision whether they're going to re-sign them or call them up and push for NHL spots. So I think we're in a good spot. And then again, like you said, fill it in with some good veterans and have guys take steps in their second and third years, and it should be good.
October's still a ways away, but what are you most excited about for the 24-25 season when it gets here?
I just think making guys better again. I think our philosophy was, get better every day and learn from every day, whether it was a good experience and learn from it or something we did poorly and learn from it. And I thought that, you take that approach, and the byproduct was win some games and then fortunately get in the playoffs and make some noise. So I don't look at the playoffs in October. I look at getting better from the day one of training camp when we get from Ottawa to here and just keep getting better every day.
A lot to happen before then, but we're already looking forward to, and glad to see you back behind the bench, Coach. Thanks for the time, and enjoy the rest of the summer that you do have around all the work that is still to be done.
Thank you. You too. You too.
So head coach Dave Bell is back for another 2 seasons behind the bench, and again, a lot to do this summer, Brock. Maybe more than he had to do last summer, and that even involved hiring a coaching staff, etc. We know there are some changes happening in the hockey operations department, and we'll outline all of those once they're finalized. But there's, I'd say the work is still cut out for the coach heading into, as he said, development camp here shortly, and then the rest of the summer, the draft, etc.
Yeah, it's still a bit of uncertainty. Already a couple of defensemen gone, as we know, with Lassie Thompson and Jacob Larson leaving for Sweden and Switzerland, respectively, and still having some holes to fill. But the guys that he's getting back, I'm sure, are going to be guys he will lean on even more next season than he did this year. The likes of a Cruikshank, Cole Reinhardt, Stephen Halliday, Tyler Boucher once he gets back from injury, etc. So really looking forward to seeing what he can do, because, again, we know he can develop players because he's done it at multiple levels. He did it in the ECHL, the AHL, the OHL, just all the way down the line, and he knows a good player when he sees one, and he knows what it takes. And, of course, being coached as a player in junior by the legendary Brian Kilray certainly doesn't hurt either, from the Ottawa 67, so maybe he's picked up a few tips and pointers along the way from him too. But either way, it should be an exciting 24-25 season, and we know that David Bell will be leading the way.
And again, we'll have any more updates on the coaching staff, hockey operations department as they're finalized. Brock mentioned a couple of those guys, Larson and Thompson, who signed overseas. Yuri Smekel also signed with Pardubice in Czechia last week as well. So it looks like that experiment is done for the time being, though it does appear like there is a route back to North America if he would like to come back at some point. So that'll be something to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, for sure. And Smekel, again, another big body that showed some flashes of brilliance this season, but it was kind of a little bit of a whirlwind of a year for him. So we hope to see him back in North America sooner rather than later. And yeah, he's the type of guy that can take over a game with his size and strength and his skill too, and showcasing what he can do physically too. So
that's the latest from here in the Friendly City. When we return for our final segment on Season 2, Episode 28, we'll get you caught up on the Calder Cup Finals rematch that has already got 2 games in the books. Hershey and Coachella Valley tied 1-1. We'll break things down a little bit when we return to Season 2, Episode 28 of the Belleville Sens podcast.
Don't miss 1 second of Belleville Senators action this season. The Belleville Sens Entertainment Network is the only place to hear live coverage of the Belleville Senators for all 72 games plus playoffs. Pre-game coverage begins 15 minutes before each game with David Foote, and the network is also home to the Belleville Sens podcast. The Belleville Senators Entertainment Network, presented by Deerhaven Farm and Garden. Tune in on the Belleville Sens app or BellevilleSens.com.
Thanks for hanging with us on this extended episode of the Belleville Sens podcast. David Foote, Brock Ormond, getting through one more segment here as we look at the Calder Cup Finals, which are now underway. A rematch from 2022-23 when the Hershey Bears knocked off Coachella Valley in 7 games. And so far, the rematch looks like it's going to have a similar feel. The series now shifting back to California after starting in Chocolatetown in Pennsylvania. Coachella Valley winning Game 1 4-3. Hershey Bears coming back with a 5-2 win in Game 2. And out to Palm Desert they go to continue this series. Unfortunately, the Cleveland Monsters, and for their fans, they weren't able to come back and knock off the Hershey Bears. We were talking about that series on last week's episode, and Game 7 was just as we expected, ended up going to overtime. Cleveland comes back to force the bonus frame, and then the Hershey Bears pick up the series win on home ice. They keep that momentum rolling at Giant Center into the finals, though they lose Game 1. They win Game 2, and then they get to take the New England Patriots plane to California, which was a wild thing that was all over my Twitter last night. Either way, outstanding Calder Cup final underway, it seems.
Yeah, it was a 7-gamer last year and went back and forth, and in the end, Hershey pulled it out. But, yeah, like you said, 1-1 already, and really seeing how these two teams are so evenly matched. And there was a tweet I saw as well, the fact that this is kind of becoming a little neat little rivalry now, even though they've only played each other now in 2 series. They don't play each other during the season because of distance. So this is now 9 games in the books in these mini little rivalry series, and it's been great. It's been great hockey, and of course a lot of heroes on each team in terms of helping them will to the finals. And Garrett Rowe scoring that big Game 7 winner for Hershey, and then you got Coachella Valley, of course, with those ex-Sens and a few good, young, talented pivots that are out there and making an impact on this Coachella Valley team. And they, of course, they know their coach is going off to Seattle next season, Dan Bilesma. So they want to try and send him off with a little revenge victory over the Hershey Bears, which is going to be nice. And, both teams playing some pretty even hockey. They both have the same sort of system, and that's, attacking the net. And it's caused a lot of issues for both teams in the defensive end, but it's been great, and I can't imagine that this series is going any less than at least 6 games and more than likely 7.
Yeah, that would be my guess. If you want to know who some of the top performers are through 2 games of the Calder Cup Finals, Ryan Winterton for Coachella Valley, 2 goals, 1 assist. I'm having trouble reading this morning. 2 goals, 1 assist over the first 2 games, and a couple of goals for John Hayden. Multi-assist assist series so far for Cameron Hughes and Ville Ottavainen. And then for Hershey, some of the usual suspects, though. Hardy Hamanok-Tell's got 3 goals in the first 2 games. 3 points for Jimmy Huntington, couple points, a goal and an assist each for Pierrick Dubé, Hendrix Lapierre, Joe Snively. So it is a lot of those usual suspects doing the work. And in net, how about the goaltending battle in this Calder Cup final? Chris Dreger, the former Belleville Senator, up against Hunter Shepard, who had some time in the NHL this year and was incredible in that series with Cleveland to outduel Jet Greaves.
Yeah, and we talked about goaltending in the past series for Hershey being such an important piece to the puzzle, and for Shepard and Clay Stevenson, 2 really outstanding netminders, and Todd Nelson can throw either one of them in the net at any given moment and know that he's going to get a good performance. But he's riding Shepard right now, and it seems like it's paying off for the most part. And it's been just a solid series already, and like I said, that 7-gamer was quite wild last year, and I don't doubt that it's going to be the same at this point this year.
Again, if you have the NHL Network, you should be able to watch those games in the Calder Cup Final. If you have a AHL TV subscription, you can 100% watch those Calder Cup Final games as the series continues. We're recording this show on Monday, the 17th of June. Game 3 of the Calder Cup Final goes Tuesday, the 18th. Game 4 is Thursday, the 20th. And Game 5, which is the earliest that this series could finish, will be Saturday, June 22nd, which means when we come back next week on the show, we will be recapping the Calder Cup Final. Game 6 is Monday, June 24th. Game 7, Wednesday, June 26th. So we'll either be recapping the series or previewing that Game 7 on Wednesday, June 26th, as the Calder Cup Final continues. Do you want to make a pick, or you want to just leave it?
Yeah,
it's a tough choice.
It's going to be a tough choice. Yeah, I'm just for the sake of seeing what Coachella Valley did to Hershey last year and how close it was. I got to think that they're going to pull it out and be a winner this year and be able to beat the Hershey Bears and get some revenge a little bit from last year and win. I'd say, like I say, it's at least going 6 games. I'll make the safe pick for 6.
All right, Brock's got Coachella Valley in at least 6 games. Just for fun, I'll take Hershey to repeat, but also I think at least in 6 games, and we'll let you know how that's going when we come back next week. Also next week, another round of exit interviews, so make sure to stay tuned to find out who you'll hear from next week. Thanks again this week to Kyle Betts, Tyler Boucher, Mads Sogaard, Coach Dave Bell, and congratulations to him as well on signing that 2-year deal. Thanks to all of them. Thanks to Brock, and thanks to you for listening. We will talk to you next week on episode 29 of Season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast.